Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a good day or a good evening, whatever time it is in your zone. Today, we're going to start a new level. We're going to start the B1 level, Unit 21. Uh, B1 is interesting level. It's a lower level, but we will increase our skills in both listening and speaking by practicing the groups that we will normally practice using the phonetics, the IPA, International Phonetics Alphabet, and the English group. So, with no further delay, let's go to the group and begin our work with the pronunciation. Now, as you know, or maybe if this is the first time, you will be presented with a phonetics part and a English part. Um, we will read the phonetics very slowly and exaggerated. I want you to listen to the sounds, read the symbols, and then there will be silence. You repeat after. So I start with hi, Mike, and you repeat. Okay, so there will be silence, and then we do the English. Hi, Mike. Good intonation. Try to imitate my voice. Let's continue. How's the new job? How's the new job? Do you get along well with your colleagues? Do you get along well with your colleagues? Guess what? Guess what? I'm coming to Newcastle. I'm coming to Newcastle on the 20th. On the 20th. What about meeting for lunch? What about meeting for lunch? On the 23rd. On the 23rd. I'll be free around 1. I'll be free around 1. How does that sound? How does that sound? I'm looking forward to seeing you. I'm looking forward to seeing you. And catching up. And catching up on all the gossip. On all the gossip. All the best. All the best. Dan. Dan. What's the latest news on the strike? What's the latest news on the strike? It's been called off. It's been called off. If all goes well, if all goes well, we'll be home before dark. We'll be home before dark. There were over 200 guests. There were over 200 guests at the reception. At the reception, the host proposed a toast. The host proposed a toast. Be careful of pickpockets. Be careful of pickpockets. As you leave the cathedral. As you leave the cathedral. Thanks for the tip. Thanks for the tip. We're going to take off in 5 minutes. We're going to take off in 5 minutes. Please switch off your cell phones. Please switch off your cell phones. I've got a surprise for you. I've got a surprise for you. Guess what it is? Guess what it is? Don't say another word. Don't say another word. Tell me when we get home. Tell me when we get home. What about going out for a meal? What about going out for a meal? That sounds great. That sounds great. It's difficult to remember. It's difficult to remember all these rules. All these rules. Learning a foreign language. Learning a foreign language takes time and patience. Takes time and patience. I'd like to take. I'd like to take a 5-minute break. A 5-minute break. The people upstairs. The people upstairs are driving me crazy. Are driving me crazy. This is my friend Rebecca. This is my friend Rebecca. Rebecca's a journalist. Rebecca's a journalist. She's Australian from Melbourne. She's Australian from Melbourne. She works for Time magazine. She works for Time magazine. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. You're listening to WJFS. You're listening to WJFS. It's exactly 7 o'clock. It's exactly 7 o'clock. On a beautiful Monday morning. On a beautiful Monday morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good evening. It's getting late. It's getting late. I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired. Good night. Good night. According to our market research, let me say that again. According to our market research, according to our market research, the target group is young parents. Is young parents. What kind of campaign? What kind of campaign are you planning? Are you planning? TV and radio commercials. TV and radio commercials. Newspaper and magazine advertising. Newspaper and magazine advertising. When's the deadline? When's the deadline? Everything will have to be ready. Everything will have to be ready by the end of August. By the end of August. All the information you need. All the information you need is in these folders. Is in these folders. How are things? How are things? Pretty terrible, actually. Pretty terrible, actually. My car won't start. My car won't start. My clients won't pay. My clients won't pay. I won't be able. I won't be able To take any time off. To take any time off. Until Christmas. Until Christmas. Okay, so we have completed the first part of the lesson, reading from the phonetics and from the English. Practice this many times. Read, read. Don't think about the meaning. Think only about the sound. Think about the quality of the sound. Repeat if you have a problem. Go back, listen to it again. Go back, repeat again. Do this as many times as you can, and then when you are satisfied with your production, your spoken production, you can go down to the description. You can copy the list of lines of text and translate so that you can understand perfectly what you are saying. It's not important to understand while you are practicing. It's important to understand after. So if you want to do that now, you can pause the video, check the meanings of the words, check the words, make lists of words, new words, anything that an expression that you're interested in. It's very important that you put this into your memory because you're going to use this when you actually speak. Okay, this is like the code. You're coding your English brain so that you can produce very quickly. Okay, so now we're going to look at instead the grammar from this group. This is a long grammar lesson. There's a lot here. We're going to look at it slowly. If you have any questions, you can also write in the chat. Here are your questions. Okay, you can just send me a message and I'll have a look at that. You see the chat if you are following online. If you're not, you can make comments in the comment and I will get back to you. All right, let's look at the, just to remind you also, page to subscribe. Click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you can receive all of my broadcasts. You will receive notice to that so you don't miss anything. Okay, let's look at this grammar. The present simple and the present progressive. Okay, the simple present expresses facts, daily activities, habits, and routines. Facts, daily activities, habits, and routines. It's used for activities or situations that normally happened yesterday or in the past, today, and will happen probably in the future. So in some ways it is without time because yes, it also happened yesterday, happens today, and will happen probably in the future because it is a fact. I get along well with my colleagues. That is a fact. Yesterday I got along. In the future I will get along probably. So in a way this tense is without time. It sounds great. That's a fact. We usually meet for lunch at 1 a.m., at 1 p.m., sorry. That's a routine. A routine is something that you do habitually, that you do as a routine, as a habit. The present progressive, instead, expresses an activity or a situation that is in progress, is happening right now at the time that the speaker is saying the sentence. Birds are flying in the sky. They are flying in this moment. So as I express, the action is happening, in progress. The action or situation, flying for example, began in the past, but the present progressive cannot express when, because when is now. Now is the only time. I cannot say he is speaking from 10 minutes. That is totally incorrect. Please be careful. Don't use the present progressive to talk about duration. You cannot express when this happened. It happens now. It is happening now. The activity or situation, flying exactly example, will probably continue into the future, but the present progressive cannot express for how long. He is speaking for 10 minutes. No, that's incorrect. I cannot tell you how long he will speak. I am only concerned with the situation now, that I am speaking now. Okay? Correct that mistake. That's a big mistake. It's very confusing. Forms of the present simple and the present progressive. Okay, let's look at the statement, the positive. I, you, we, they work. Instead, I am working. I, you, no. I, he, she, I am. You have you, we, they are working. You have he, she, it works. He, she, it is working. So the simple present has two forms, I, you, we, they, and he, she, it. The third person singular. The present progressive has three forms. I am working, I am. You, we, they are working. He, she, it is working. So it has three forms. Be careful. Negative, I do not work. You, we, they do not work. He, she, it does not work. Okay, just like the positive, the negative has two forms. The present progressive instead has three. I am not working. You, we, they are not working. He, she, it is not working. There are three different forms here, three different conjugations or inflections. I think they're called inflections. In the question, we invert the auxiliary and the subject. So, do I work? Do you work? Do we work? Do they work? Okay, notice the infinitive. The verb is in the infinitive form after the auxiliary and after the subject. Kazi, A-S-I, auxiliary, subject, infinitive. Don't forget that. Does he, she, it work? Auxiliary, does. We have the second form. This is the third person singular, so we must add the S, but not to the verb. We add the S to the auxiliary. Does he, she, it work? Okay, let's look at the present progressive. Am I working? Are you working? Are we working? Are they working? Is he working? Is she working? Is it working? We have three different forms, but notice the auxiliary. This time the verb to be is first, azi. You have auxiliary, subject, and infinitive. Instead of the infinitive, we have the gerund, the verb with the ing, but the order is the same. Let's look at the contractions. I am working becomes I'm working. In spoken English, we contract. We tend to make the sentences shorter. So you, we, they plus are becomes your, we're, their. You're working, we're working, they're working. Okay, we have the pronoun plus be. He, she, it plus is, and then becomes he's. He's working, she's working, it's working. The contraction in the negative, does plus not becomes doesn't. So she doesn't work. Repeat that. She doesn't work. He doesn't work. It doesn't work. Do not, don't. I don't work. We don't work. They don't work. Do plus not. In the progressive form, we have is plus not, isn't. We have he isn't working, are plus not, aren't. They aren't working. So am plus not does not contract. I am not working. We can contract am, I'm not working, but am and not are not contracted. Okay, you can do the exercises here if you have access. Let's go on to the frequency adverbs. The position of frequency adverbs is usually in the middle of the sentence, but other positions are possible. I sometimes get up at 6:30, at 6:30. Okay, you see, we have this in the middle of the sentence, but you can also put it, sometimes I get up at 6:30, and I get up at 6:30 sometimes. Okay, we'll look at the position a little bit closer. Usually it's before the verb. Always 100% positive, usually maybe 90% positive, often 75%, generally 75%, sometimes 50%, seldom, that's like 10%, rarely 10%, hardly ever, maybe 5%, not ever or never, 0. That's negative. Okay, let's look at A. Karen always tells the truth. We have the subject, we have the frequency adverb, plus we have the verb. Karen always tells the truth. Repeat. Karen is always on time. Okay, with the verb be, we have the frequency adverb after. Karen is always on time. Repeat. Negative adverbs, seldom, rarely, hardly ever, never, are not used with a negative verb. So, Karen, we don't say Anna doesn't never eat meat. Anna doesn't seldom. Anna doesn't rarely. Anna doesn't hardly ever. Don't use these adverbs with the negative verb. Okay, when we're considering the stative verbs, we're considering the gerunds. Some verbs are not produced or not used in the progressive tenses. These verbs are called stative or non-action verbs. They express a long or short-term situation and not an action in progress. Long or short-term situation, not an action in progress. You have to consider the verb, okay? I know Mrs. Chen. Incorrect, I am knowing Mrs. Chen. This is not a correct sentence because know is considered a stative or a non-action verb. There's no real action to know. I'm hungry, I want a sandwich. Want is like a stative, it's a stative idea. I am wanting, this is an active idea. We don't really produce this. We don't say I'm wanting a sandwich, okay? This book belongs to Mikhail. Incorrect, this book is belonging. Belong is a stative verb, okay? Think and have are also used in a progressive sense. If think expresses the idea believe, it is a situation. Instead, when think expresses the process of thinking, like ideas in a person's mind, it can be progressive. So, I think that Monday is a difficult day. This is like, I believe that Monday is a difficult day. We are looking at think as a situation. I'm thinking about Monday now. I have the idea of Monday in my mind. I'm in process. I'm thinking. So this is the idea of progression. Have can also use both forms. When have expresses a possession, it is not used in the progressive because it describes a long or a short-term situation. I have a nice car. This is a situation. It's a long or short term situation. It means that I possess a car. I have a nice car. So we don't use this idea in the progressive. We can also mean eat, it can mean drink. So these activities like have a good time, have in this case is progressive. I'm having trouble. I'm having a problem. I'm having steak. Okay, you can do exercise 3 in the self-study course if you are enrolled in that course, and you can see that. Okay, let's look at the non-action verbs. We saw a couple of them: hear, believe, be, need, like, forget, see, think, exist, have, want, love, sound, understand, possess, prefer, hate, know, belong, and remember. Okay, these are some common verbs. They're not all, but some common verbs that you do not use in a progressive tense. Okay, so be careful with those verbs. Let's use the present progressive to express future time. All right, look at A. Tom is going to come to the party tomorrow. Tom is going to come to the party tomorrow. B. Tom is coming to the party tomorrow. Okay, the present progressive can be used to express future time. Each pair of example sentences has the same meaning. So A and B are the same. They are the same. Tom is going to come. Tom is coming. C. We're going to go to a movie tonight. D. We're going to a movie tonight. The present progressive describes definite plans for the future, plans that were made before the moment of speaking. So, I'm going to stay home this evening. I'm staying home this evening. These are the same. They are both plans that I made before I started speaking. Okay, we're going to a movie tonight. You see the word tonight. I'm staying home this evening. G. Anne is going to fly to Chicago next week. H. Anne is flying to Chicago next week. The future meaning for the present progressive is indicated either by future time words, tomorrow, or by the situation. Okay, so in G and H, the future is indicated by the words next week. That's very, very important because we're talking about a very precise time in the future that I have programmed, right? I've programmed this. You're going to laugh when you hear this joke. Incorrect, you're laughing when you hear this joke, okay? The present progressive is not used for predictions about the future. This is a prediction. You're going to laugh when you hear this joke. I imagine that you will laugh. I am betting that you will laugh. This is like a prediction. The speaker is predicting. In J, the present progressive is not possible. I cannot say you're laughing when you hear this joke because it's not a prediction. We only use the present progressive when it is a planned future event. Okay, you can do exercise 4 now. Let's look at the first conditional using a time clause or if clause in the present tense for the future. This is called the first conditional. You can use the simple present tense in a future time clause with if. Do not use will or be going to in a future time clause. Okay, what does that mean? If all goes well. If all goes well is a future time clause with if. Okay, we see we have the word if and we have the present tense. If all goes well, we'll be home before dark. So the second part of this sentence is called the result clause. We will be home. You see, we're using the future here, but not in the if clause, not in the time clause. That's the condition clause. That's the future time clause. If all will go well, we'll be home before dark. That's incorrect. We don't say that. We don't put will with if. Okay, before, after, when, as soon as, and until can introduce the time clause instead of if. So, before all goes well, we'll be home before dark. After all goes well. All of these are examples of introductions to the time clause instead of if. They are conditionals. Let's look at the future in time clauses and if clauses. Okay, let's look at this a little closer. We have before I go to class tomorrow, this is a time clause. I'm going to eat breakfast. In A and B, okay, let's look at B. I'm going to eat breakfast before I go to class tomorrow. Okay, before I go to class tomorrow, we have a comma here. Here, a comma is not necessary because we're using the time clause after the main clause. So, before I go to class tomorrow is a time clause. Before, after, when, as soon as, until, while, plus the subject and verb is a time clause. So, before I go to class tomorrow is the time clause. You can also call that the conditional clause. Before I go home tonight, I'm going to stop at the market. D. I'm going to eat dinner at 6 o'clock tonight. After I eat dinner, I'm going to study in my room. E. I'll give Rita your message when I see her. F. It's raining right now. As soon as the rain stops, I'm going to walk downtown. G. I'll stay home until the rain stops. H. While you're at school tomorrow, I'll be at work. Okay, the simple present is used in a future time clause. Will and be going to are not used in a future time clause. All of the examples contain future time clauses. C, before I go. D, after I eat. E, when I see her. F, as soon as the rain stops. G, until the rain stops. H, while you're at school. Okay, so all of those are time clauses, conditional clauses. It's incorrect to say, before I will go to class tomorrow, I'm going to eat breakfast. It's also incorrect to say, before I'm going to go to class tomorrow, I'm going to eat breakfast. Okay, it just doesn't sound good. Maybe it'll rain tomorrow. If it rains tomorrow, I'm going to stay home. Okay, if it rains tomorrow is an if clause, if plus the subject and a verb, plus equals an if clause. When the meaning is in the future, the simple present, not will, is used in an if clause. So, if it rains tomorrow, I'm going to stay home. All right, so that's the idea. Let's look at the introduction to gerunds. Okay, if you are in the self-study course, you can do the exercises on that platform, on the Moodle platform. Let's look at the introduction to gerunds. Yeah, okay. Now we have the gerunds. A gerund is a verb with the ing form. A gerund can be the subject of a verb or the object of a verb. So, learning a foreign language takes time and patience. Learning is the subject, and it's singular, you see. Learning takes. Learning we can use as the subject. We like playing tennis. Playing is the object. Okay, so you can use that before or after the verb. Expressing the future in time clauses and if clauses. The subject of a sentence can also be it when the infinitive expresses the same idea. It is easy to understand. Okay, so we're using it is with an adjective and then the infinitive. It's difficult to remember all these rules, okay? It's difficult to remember. We're using an infinitive with the adjective and it's. Remembering all these rules is difficult, okay? You're using the same idea with the gerund as the subject. Let's look at the verb plus the gerund, okay? I enjoy walking in the park. We have the verb, the main verb enjoy. You can call this also the father verb, the mother verb, the main verb. And we have walking, which is the gerund. The gerund is the ing form of the verb. It's used as a noun. Walking is a gerund. It can be used as the object of the verb enjoy. What are you enjoying? I'm enjoying this lesson. I enjoy this lesson. But instead of a noun, I can also use a gerund. Okay, let's look at the common verbs followed by gerunds. The verbs in the list are followed by gerunds. Okay, we also have phrasal verbs, put off, that are followed by gerunds. Okay, let's read these together. Enjoy, be, I enjoy working in my garden. Finish, see, and finished studying at midnight. Stop, D, it stopped raining a few minutes ago. Quit, E, David quit smoking. Mind, F, would you mind opening the window? Postpone, G, I postpone doing my homework. Put off, H, I put off doing my homework. Keep on, I keep on working, don't stop, or just keep working, don't stop. Consider, J, I'm considering going to Hawaii. Think about, K, I'm thinking about going to Hawaii. Discuss, L, they discussed getting a new car. Talk about, M, they talked about getting a new car. Okay, it's incorrect to say I enjoy to walk in the park. It's incorrect to say Bob finished to study. It's incorrect to say I'm thinking to go to Hawaii. Memorize these verbs. These are very important. These are the common verbs followed by gerunds. They are not complete list, but they are the most common. And I considered not going to class. The negative form you can say not with the gerund. I considered not going to class. Okay, you can do exercises 6, 7, and 8. Let's look at the expressing ability with can and could. A, Bob can play the piano. B, you can buy a screwdriver at a hardware store. C, I can meet you at Ted's tomorrow. Can expresses the ability in the present or the future. C is in the future. Tomorrow afternoon, I can meet you. D, I can't, I cannot, I can not understand that sentence. The negative form of can may be written can't, cannot, or can not. There's no difference. E, our son could walk when he was 1 year old. The past form of can is could. So when he was 1 year old, we see that this is in the past. F, he couldn't walk when he was 6 months old. Okay, could not, couldn't. The negative of could is couldn't or could not. Let's look at combining the modal auxiliary can plus must in the future. Can, could, may, might, should, must, would, and will are one-word modal auxiliaries. Okay, well, that's one word, not on-word. We'll just correct that. Um, Modal auxiliaries, they cannot be used together. Can and must have alternative forms. Okay, so what is the alternative form? Can is to be able, and must is to have to. Okay, so instead of saying I can speak, I am able to speak. Instead of saying I must speak, I can say I have to speak. So we can use this form with the form of will in the future. Everything will have to be ready by the end of August. We have everything will plus must in the future form of have to be ready. Everything will have to be ready. I will be able to take some time off work, time off during Christmas. We have I will plus can in the form of to be able to and take time off. Okay, we're using be because after the modal you must use a infinitive form. Okay, so I will be able, you will be able, he will be able, they will be able. You don't have to worry about changing the form of to be. Will also has an alternative form, to be going to. You can use the alternative form of will with the alternative forms of both can and must. So we are going to have to shut the window. We will in the form of to going to, must plus shut. So we are going to have to shut the window. It's quite complicated, but you can learn it. They're going to be able to win the election. They will in the form of to be going to, and can in the form of to be able to, plus win. Win is the main verb. They are going to be able to win the election. Okay, you can do the phrasal verb, the exercise 10. Let's just look very quickly at the phrasal verb separable. We put off our trip. We'll go next month. Put off is the same as postpone. Put off means to do something later. Jimmy, put on your coat before you go outdoors. Put on means to place clothes on your body. We have someone left the scissors on the table. They don't belong there. I put them away. Put away, put something in its usual or proper place. D, after I use the dictionary, I put it back on the shelf. Put back means to return something to its original place. So, separable. We put off our trip. So we can say put off plus the participle plus the noun. Put off our trip. We can also say we put our trip off. That's separating the verb plus the participle. So I can put our trip here. We put it off. Okay, verb plus the pronoun. Now, if you use the pronoun, it has to go in this position. We do not say we put off it. Okay, non-separable means that you cannot separate. I ran into Bob. We have the verb plus the participle plus the noun. I ran into, that means to meet by chance. I ran into him. So we have the verb, participle, and the pronoun. We do not separate. We do not say I ran Bob into or I ran him into. It's incorrect. Okay, let's look at some of these separable verbs. To figure out is to find the solution to a problem. Grow up is to live and become an adult or an adult. Don't say grow up after you mature. Hand in is to give homework, papers to a teacher or to someone. Hand out is to give someone or something to a different person. Hand out, to distribute. Look up is to search for information. Make up is to invent a story. Pick up is to lift. Pick up also is to give a ride in a car or a motorbike. Put down is to stop holding or carrying something. Put off is to postpone. Put on is to place clothes on one's body. Take off is to remove clothes from a body. Throw away is to put something in the trash. Throw out is to put something in the trash. Turn off, stop a machine or a light. Turn on, start a machine or a light. Wake up, stop seeing. Write down, write a note on a piece of paper. Okay, we have really done a long lesson. This was a little bit longer than usual, but do take the time, look at the grammar, repeat the groups as many times as possible, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you very much. Look at the descriptions, click on the links, and we'll see you next time.